All right, so I am halfway through the book that wouldn't burn. I picked it up because there was a buddy read on Matt's fantasy book review that some people went into, and somebody tagged me and said, "I think you'd like this." And the next one is coming up in a week or two, and so I thought, well, I'll drop everything and I'll go join that buddy read. And to be honest, I have thoroughly enjoyed it. But I can see why maybe some people wouldn't. At times, it felt for me so far, and this is going to be non-spoilers, but it felt so far that it just went up and up and up, and every time it would switch to the other POV, it would leave me something exciting with the one I just left, and I would go to the next one and immediately think, oh, well, this is the exciting one. Leave me excited about that one, go back. And so I was always like, so far, I've always been engaged. And the thing I wanted to talk about the most today is something that, I think that as humans, we are very deeply engaged in, or we deeply resonate or connect with the feeling of, or the power of symbols in our narratives. Now, this might have to do a little bit with right brain, left brain at times, where maybe we want to engage with something that is a little bit more direct, and like a story that tells a great and very thought-provoking story, but maybe doesn't really make you go into the contemplative side of things. Because, a lot of people, and I'm in the same category, often I'm not in the reading space where I want to really contend with a book in that way. But when you are in the mood for that sort of thing, man, it's maybe my favorite thing ever. And I don't know if it's called contemplative fiction or what, but I think, again, going back, I think that we are, as a people, deeply, there's something about symbols. And I'm not talking about like symbols written on a piece of paper, although we've seen how we go towards these different iconographies and symbols and things, and they can be powerful. But I think in terms of our storytelling, we can find things in these stories that, even though they're not true, they are true, right? And I like when authors have a good grasp on that. I've mentioned I love, if you're at this channel, probably because of my read through of Steven Erickson's books, and I feel like he walks such a good balance of telling an engaging and a deeply engaging story, if you just want to go through and have that. But also, he's very connected with this other element, that if you want to dig into things at a deeper level, he has made sure to put enough careful care, I guess, into making sure that he provides things to chew on. And again, you can find this in deeply encoded in religious texts. There's often a lot of encoding there that, if you want, you can read it for what it says, but also read it for what's between the lines, like what's between the text. And you can find that in fairy tale. You're reading the black text, but it's actually, as you're thinking about what's in the white spaces, is where you really get some kind of meaning, even though often there's just a fun story in between. You find these in all sorts of children's books, which is another reason why, when you get a really good children's book, it can be just the best, even if it's just very simple, and sometimes they can be just garbage, but or maybe I shouldn't say that, but sometimes they can really have many layers of meaning. It can engage with imagination. It can tackle a whole bunch of universal themes and encourage reflection. They can just do so many things. And at the end, those are the ones where I find the most emotional engagement. Now, I feel like that is what I'm getting mostly out of this. I'm engaged with the story part of it, but it has been a while. It's been a while since I've found another thing that's out of the Malazan world that has engaged me in the way that this book has. Now, I don't know if everyone's going to have that same thing, but there's something away in the way that he's using. I mean, Mark Lawrence is using uh, names and concepts that seem to be uh, pushing a little bit beyond what is in the text, and I don't think it's in a preachy way, as far as I can tell. But I think I just love when stories are able to kind of connect with that other level. Now, at times you can get something like Orwell, which can be a little bit heavy-handed, and that can also be good. But you can also get something that's a little bit lighter, and this has a good balance, for me, which I appreciate so much. And also, this book has reminded me that sometimes I need these reminders to just read at a pace where you can enjoy it. I should have my other. If you've seen the other picture that I have on my channel, if you go to my channel, it's that turtle reading a book, and I really appreciate when a book encourages you to slow down and encourages you to just enjoy it. For the to Often when I look at a book and I open a book, I'm looking forward to having read that book, rather than the journey of reading that book. And I'm so appreciative when I find something that reminds me to enjoy the part of having, of reading that book. And I'm rambling, I know, but I do think that this will resonate with a lot of people in a lot of ways. Without going really, I don't even know what it says on the blurb here or the blurb here, but I will say that there are a couple POVs where obviously there's this big library, and there's a POV. The POVs kind of center in and around this library that is kind of got this different kind of mystically sort of quality about it. Now, what I thought I was going to get out of Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, I think I'm getting that more in this book. Now, if you loved Piranesi, I imagine you will like this book as well. If I would describe this book so far, like at first I thought, is this like Dune? Like, what is going on? But there's just like a desert, but wouldn't say it's like Dune. I would say this is kind of like an Alice in Wonderland for adults, which also includes kind of the ethereal sort of feel you might get from like Labyrinth, like that movie, or like Neverending Story, where it feels kind of that way to me, how I'm reading it. It has some very uncanny things that are going on, and it's really, if you're not engaged with the library itself, I can see why people would just want to put this away. If that sort of thing does capture you, the idea of like a labyrinth is one of my favorite things in novels. Just an oddball labyrinth, and it is involved with the thing I'm writing. There's like a labyrinth sort of quality going on. So I think if that's your thing, I think you will enjoy this. And also, again, I think it's on April 8th that the next one's coming out. And I imagine I'm going to just go right into it. So if you would like, you have another 8 days or whatever or more than that, to pick this up, 10 days to read through it ish, and maybe pick up the next one, and let's keep going. It's one of my very favorite things. It might be my favorite thing that I've read this year, even though I've already had a few great ones that I've really, really enjoyed. And it's also, again, reminded me to make sure I don't, I read for the purpose of enjoyment. And I love when that happens, when I don't feel like I have to hit a page limit, but I can be satisfied with 20 great pages. And anyway, so I'll leave that there, and wonder what you think. If you've read this, what have you thought? And I won't have my feelings hurt if people didn't like it. I know it's a little bit divisive because it has, it's not a traditional, it's not like a classic fantasy, but it does have some of that sort of mystical, like, quality to it, which is a little bit interesting. So, talk to you guys soon. Bye.